Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back on into the Sports Buffoons studios once again. Back with the full clan. This is Mike Settle running it. We got Tanner Dawson here to my right and Jason JG to my left. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Back in the saddle once again. Of course, today we'll be yapping here about the NFC South and NFC West, going over all those teams for us. And we're going to have here in a few minutes a special guest, LONNIE MARTS, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, helping us break down some things of the old man Tom Brady and his clan over there. So the returning of Tom Brady, I should say. Actually, I thought in that preseason game didn't look too bad.
No, he didn't. I mean, when you play in the league for 900 years, so
Right.
I assume it's just picking it up right away.
It's kind of like when Gronk came back in the middle of the year. It's like, just step right back in and start catching touchdowns again. Like, no big deal. You know?
Here we go again.
No big deal. What are you guys sipping on today?
Actually, I have a Blue Moon Haze juicy pale ale.
Wait, is that new?
I think so.
I have never seen a moon haze.
It's I don't know. I don't know what the difference is.
Wow, I don't know.
It's juicy like it always is.
So
It tastes like a Blue Moon.
yeah, well, Blue Moon's not like a pale ale. It's actually
What?
I haven't drank in over 3 weeks, so I forgot what Blue Moon actually was. But it's not a pale ale. I'm actually drinking a Lagunitas non-alcoholic IPA at the moment. And I found this awesome can called Wandering Islands Tropical Pale. I'm going to try that here in a few minutes, too. Once again, also an NA brew. So, Jason, what's up, man?
I've got the cheapest rye whiskey on planet Earth. I think it's called like Roulette or something like that. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's a good rye whiskey, but I think it's like the cheapest on planet Earth.
Well, considering the fact it's taken you 5 months to drink the bottle, I would say it's just not something worth buying either.
Okay, I lied. It's terrible.
All right.
All
All right.
The Blue Moon is it's a Belgian style.
Yeah, Belgian wheat, right? Belgian wheat.
Wheat batter. Wheat.
I don't know why my mind blanked on that, but anyways, you guys, to get into it here, obviously, Settling the Kingdom now getting going. If you guys have not checked out my latest one that came out actually this morning, check that out. Just kind of get my input and recap of the Chiefs cuts, and I think our predictions came out pretty strong on that one because Tanner and I had a little post-game discussion about it, and I think I got everyone right except for maybe one or two of them.
One or two, I think, when I listened to it.
Yeah.
So.
And for some reason, I had Jermaine Johnson on the brain. I kept saying Johnson.
You did. I was editing it last night. It confused me for a minute. I'm like, all right, I'm missing something here. So I went back to the Orlando roster just to make sure. And I'm like, he has to be Todd McCarthy. There's no other guy. Maybe you got confused like Najee Johnson and Jermaine Carter. You know, maybe confuse the names. It's all right. Or the guy you wanted on the Jets now.
Exactly.
Drafted. That's what it really was.
That's what I was thinking of. Or I had a long day and just had some Johnsons on my brain. You never know what kind of things are going to come out.
Anything can happen any day, right? Guys, make sure you guys go check it out. It's our brand new KC Chiefs exclusive channel. Go like, subscribe to that here. We'll be posting all our post and pregame shows there, all our live shows there that we do watch parties on top of even more Kansas City Chiefs news and rumors. So go check it out. Settling the Kingdom, the channel. Search it in, like, subscribe.
So I gave my input, obviously. So, Jason, what was your thoughts on the Chiefs cuts?
The first thing that jumped out at me was just the fact that we ended up keeping Ronald Jones. And I think that's a good idea, not necessarily because I think he's a good or a bad running back, but I think in the NFL you got to have depth at that position because a lot of times they break down easily. So I like the fact that they kept Ronald Jones. We got enough running backs on that roster. If you didn't notice, I like running backs. If you didn't know that, just check out my fantasy team. So I think you can never have enough on a fantasy team or on your NFL roster. So, so I don't really care if you use the 3 or the 4. I'm just glad we got depth at that position.
Yeah. So, speaking of the fantasy thing and all that, how do you guys feel about our draft we had on last Sunday night?
I feel great. I actually like my team. I felt like I was more strategic than normal years. Usually I go with big names. And
he goes with big tight ends normally, and for the first time ever,
one tight end, guys.
First time ever, Tanner did not draft some old bum tight end. He actually took playmakers. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got lots of playmakers. I got lots of young guys on the team. I think my back half of the 15th through basically, I guess 15th through 20th, basically are all rookies. So, I mean, if any of them blow up, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Like, I'm a little worried about the Isaiah Spiller pick now, even though it's a late pick. Sonny Michel just signed over there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how things go, I guess. Miami didn't know what to do with him, I don't think. So, Sonny Michel finding a new home is probably the best for him anyway.
I never looked here. Do they really keep what they kept? Miles Gaskins, still a Dolphin.
Yeah, I don't have any input on that. I mean, Miles Gaskins is not a great player by any means. He is what he is, and I don't have anything really to add with Miles Gaskins.
Interesting. 5 receivers. Okay, that's weird. All right, I thought a little bit. But yeah, no, that's probably the biggest thing I had.
So, Jason, you're the number 1 pick in our league. You took Jonathan Taylor first. So, at some point, you prompted you to just go running back heavy. Like, what was on your mind with that?
Well, I think the biggest key to that was I had entered the draft with an open mind. So my goal the entire time was to load on wide receivers. I had all my wide receivers picked out. I got basically 1 out of the 6 that I wanted. And I just kind of, instead of trying to reach, I kind of let the draft come to me. And part of the issue was the fact that this is our first year doing a keeper league. And so players didn't necessarily drop as far as I thought they would. People started reaching. So rather than going wide receiver heavy, I got a little bit of youth at the wide receiver position. I was able to get Michael Pittman Jr., so I didn't go over on my favorite wide receivers, but I also got some rookie wide receivers later in the draft. Loaded up, and I think at least one or more of those rookie receivers is probably going to pan out. And I'm talking about Romeo Doubs, Alec Pierce, and George Pickens. So, yeah, I was happy overall, but I did accomplish my most important goal, which was I love young players. I like youth. I don't like having old bums on my fantasy team because those guys are generally more likely to break down. And so I think the oldest player I have on my team was like Matt Ryan, which I don't really care. He's just my backup quarterback. So everybody else is fairly young relative to the rest of the league.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I was pretty happy overall with my draft too. My whole thing this year was I've taken guys in the past that I actually didn't like. Like last year I took Miles Sanders, and I don't know why I took him for some reason. Like it's not a player I like by any means. And also Miles Gaskin was a guy I took at one point, I think a couple of years ago or whatever. It's like, why am I taking these guys? I don't even like them. Why am I drafting them? And so I ended up taking every player on my roster are guys that I actually like. I'm not going by some goofy ADP list. I just took players I believe in and like for the future. So I'm happy with where it's currently sitting at. But we do have some good news. Tomorrow, you guys, it's going to be day 1 of Kansas sports betting. You can now get on BetMGM and FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're going to give you some free gosh darn money, too, if you live in Kansas, to get on there and place your bets. So I don't know if you've gotten on there yet, JG, but it's free $400 total between all 3 apps.
Yeah, get in now.
You might as well sign up now before it's too late and get your free money.
3 apps for $400. I might actually go ahead and do that. You guys know how much I hate downloading apps. I think it's mostly a waste of time. But with sports betting, I think I might go ahead and do
It's
that.
free money. College football started.
Right.
Alabama, first game of the year, this Saturday. Bet it. Be done with it.
Just
Who cares?
bet your money. You cash out right away after you win. I mean, there you go. Just do it that way, I guess.
Yeah, and then if you cash out, then you might get your money back, or that money just might be in the Caribbean forever.
Well, we're not doing Bovada these days.
This is in town.
You're thinking of Bovada right now. This is
This
the
ain't that.
legit stuff right now, all right?
Bodkins here, commenting, need young guys in the keeper. Exactly. That was my strategy, especially that last half. Get somebody who could have value for the team, but yet, if they blow up, great. That's a 15th round. I don't have to lose next year. So, versus what I did this year, lose the second or third. So, and then King Viper. Hey, what's up, King Viper? Thanks for joining in.
What's up, King Viper? All right.
Take Arkansas
there you go.
-6 over Cincy. There you go. Bodkins with some betting over there.
Boom. Lay it down. Free money on the table right there.
Future Big 12 team coming into play.
Carrington Harrison on 610, by the way, had made a statement that he's going to take his $200 and put it on the Chargers to go undefeated. So
Go Carrington. Yeah. Oh, you dude.
he thinks the Chargers are going to go undefeated for this. So that's his bet. He's going to take the money and put it all on that.
I mean, if you're going to do a long shot bet, I can think of a lot better things than doing that.
Right. Yeah.
More power to him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Throw your money.
He's always been a Chargers guy, I guess, but
That's what it feels like.
that's what he wants to do is throw it all away, I guess. What do you guys have a bet in mind right away? I plan on this year betting on every single NFL game this season. Money out as the year
So
goes.
I know a lot of I don't know exactly what on some of them, but MGM, your $200 or whatever it is legit designed as $50 bets. You can't go less than $50. So it's 1 to 2 $50 bets. I think each time. So I'm just looking for the easy win, make some money, make a little bit of money. And just,
Well, once you use their bonus money, and that 50 turns it like if you double it, for instance, well then now you can use that 50 to do whatever you want because that's your winning.
Correct.
So that would be the goal is to obviously.
that like Alabama first season game, like get that W, get some money, and then you can play.
Sure. Do that way.
Hey, real quick here before while we're waiting on Lonnie, you guys see the new Thursday primetime footballs yet?
Not yet.
Let me show you this, guys. This is amazing. So here's Russell Wilson
Okay.
doing his thing. I'm not going to leave the sound here. There we go. All right. So these new primetime footballs. This is regular football. Okay. That's right. Oh look! No, he doesn't want to. Look at that! Look at this difference here in this football.
Whoa!
Skinnier.
What?
Same amount of force he threw. I thought he threw harder with this ball, but he does. But I mean, it's because of the ball.
Hold on. You're telling me that's the ball they're going to be using on Thursday night?
Supposedly, Pat covered it the other day, and
That's ridiculous.
like,
No, that's not that. How is that a thing? If we're going to get on Brady for deflating footballs, how are we going to change the whole shape of them?
for a Thursday night game.
Or is it for every Thursday night game?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know what the full rule. I didn't actually look at the article, but this is on Pat's show. This is a video of Russell Wilson. There's Stafford was throwing the same ball over 100 yards casually from his own end zone. So
I don't like it at all.
That is weird to me. I don't know.
I just think that it's going to throw you off if you're playing with one ball your whole life, and then you switch just for one day. Quarterbacks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to once we get Lonnie on here live with us, we're gonna have to ask him about this ball situation.
All right, guys. So today's show here is really we're going to cover the NFC as well. We're going to knock these two divisions out. Two Reds for the NFC West. Lonnie's joining us with the Bucs and NFC South here. So make sure you stay tuned through the show. Next week we will kind of do our pregame show, pre-NFL Week 1 show, really, and also a little bit. That's the only thing I'm excited for, ready to go. But yes, let's stop it. Let's bring in former NFL player, former Chief, former Bucs. Lonnie MARTS Jr., what's up, dude?
How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Good. How are you?
Doing
I
great.
can hear you.
Yeah, I'm good.
So,
Heard you guys talking about that football.
good deal. Yeah, is that a real thing? Like, are they really changing the football Thursdays?
That's the NFL trying to do something. I don't know. It starts to become a little bit XFL-ish, you know. You just leave the game the way it is, play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Changing the football like that, that's not NFL football. So I don't expect it to last. So.
Right, especially for just all of a sudden throw a guy in for a Thursday night game. You got to use a totally different ball all of a sudden. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, and I saw that the ball travels a little bit farther, probably because the hands can grip it a little bit easier. I don't know. It's got to be a factor with catching it too. So
I was about to say, put a guy like Brett Favre in the heyday with that ball.
Yeah, he hurt you. Brett Favre
Throwing that thing for be 99 yards in the air.
Yeah, right. John Elway will break your pants.
Right.
Right.
Well, hey, I appreciate you joining here. We're going to talk a little Tampa Bay Buccaneers with you.
Okay.
Definitely always appreciate your insight here. So, Buccaneers, man. Tom Brady, old man, retired, came back. Said he's not done. Lost Gronk. Lost a couple linemen. Actually, 3 linemen already this offseason. Retired and
Right.
2 injured. Lots of things changing for Tom Brady on this team. More weapons, though. That's a good thing. So, what are we looking like here for the Bucs offense as we kind of look at this team after cuts?
One of the things that I realized watching the last game was that the Bucs, or Tom Brady, really does need that center and guard to protect him up front and to keep people off of him or out of his face. And so, with the center being hurt, which is the lead guy on the offensive line, it's going to look. I mean, if he gets back in there, he'll be fine. But if he's not there, I think it's going to be a tough first game for the Bucs. And the offensive line is staple of that offense. I know that everyone feels like you got to have a running game, you got to have the receivers, but if Tom Brady's not upright and throwing that ball and no one's in his face, that's a totally different team. And so when I look at the Bucs, I see a team that could struggle a little bit offensively until they can get that protection for Tom down. But with the defense that they have still intact, I think they're going to be fine. And that defense is, with Todd Bowles being at the head, I think he understands we just need to protect Tom for a couple games till we get our line set, and then we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, so does this line, though, does this affect the running game even more? You got rookie Rashad White coming into play, Leonard Fournette, and, of course, now Vaughn doesn't have Jones and anybody else to really compete for that third spot. And, of course, Giovanni's there. But, does this affect the run game any for this offense?
Yeah, I mean, you got to expect it to affect a run game because, again, if Leonard Fournette was Leonard Fournette from college, he would run over everybody. But Leonard Fournette cannot do that in the NFL. Therefore, Leonard Fournette needs linemen to get on linebackers and to get on defensive linemen so that he can get to at least get 5 yards. Because I think they would be okay with 3 to 4 yards per carry if they could get that, and then letting Tom take them for the first down on third or getting a third and manageable. But I don't think I don't think the offensive line is going to be able to do that right now. And the teams that you're playing are going to know that. They're going to know where your weaknesses are. And so they're going to attack those things.
Yeah, Lonnie, you're kind of talking about maybe it sounds like this team could be in a ramp-up period at the beginning of the year. How it could be a little bit of a struggle or finding maybe an identity a little bit. We did see some new faces come aboard. Obviously, Julio Jones now is part of the offense. And I don't know if they're going to have chemistry right away. I know Brady had mentioned that he's enjoying working with Julio at the moment, but I do know that he wanted Russell Gage on this roster for sure in the slot. It was someone Brady himself actually went out and advocated for. Now Chris Godwin's obviously coming back, but offensive line aside, do you see Brady, even though he missed all the training camp and so on, is it going to make any impact on the chemistry with him and the rest of this team?
If I was looking at the year he came in and they won the Super Bowl, I would say yes, it would have some effect because he had that offseason to build that chemistry with the new team. He's got new weapons now, and you would think that he would need that time. But I think the older wide receivers will also be able to, Evans will be able to talk to the younger wide receivers or the new wide receivers and say, hey, here's how we do it. Here's how we get it done. And I think that's going to bridge that gap. So he may not need as much time, but he's definitely going to have to build that chemistry.
So he mentioned Chris Godwin there for a bit, coming off that torn ACL. How long do you think it's going to be before we see a 100% Chris Godwin? Do you think that's going to take this whole season? Do you think we're going to see 75, 80% of what he was? Or how's that look to you?
Well, with a receiver like Chris Godwin, I think he's a 100% guy. And going out and playing the way he played last year, I don't think you can get a serious gauge on whether that knee is 100% yet in training camp. Until he gets tired and starts to press and really starts to work on it, I don't think he's going to know if that knee is capable and is dependable. So I think you're going to see 75 to 80%, but he really wants to be 100%. And until he gets really comfortable and is taking a couple hits, couple shots, making sure that everything is still there when he gets up, everything's still working properly, I don't think you're going to see 100%. And even then, ACL is a tough injury to come back from. And, it's going to get sore at times that he's probably not accustomed to it being that sore. So he's going to have to work through some injuries, a little bit, I don't know, just collateral damage, I guess you would call it. It's going to be hard to get through those things throughout the season because they're going to be calling on him. He's going to be that guy.
Yeah, so let's talk about defense real quick here. Obviously, I keep Hicks in Chicago with Sue leaving. That was a huge pickup for that that defensive line there. What are we looking at the defensive line? Are we looking at maybe a resurgence with Hakeem Hicks coming into play? Because he's more, I think, more of a pass rusher than he is a run stopper in play for that defense. So, and Vita Vea, of course, is continuing to exceed of what a lot of people thought he would do.
Oh, he's amazing.
What do we think of the C-line this season?
I think Nix gets to prove that he can stop the run. You would think that he's more of a pass rusher, but being put in a certain position with a defense that is touted as high as the Bucs defense is, I think he's got to play that role, and they're expecting him to step in there and be the defensive pass rusher that he was, but also be a run stopper. And it's going to be tough for him because he's not as big as Sue. And I don't know if he's as strong as Sue, but Vita Vea may be able to take a little bit more on because he is coming around to be that guy. And so always off the edge, Pierre, Paul. That's you got guys who can push it to the middle, but Hakeem Nicks, he's going to have to hold up, and we're going to see. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not, but I'm always a wait and see guy because people change teams and they do it for different reasons. And sometimes they get into the game and they're not who they said they were or who they look like they were from the previous team. So, until they hit the field and you really see them under pressure, I don't think you can tell yet.
Right. Well, looking at the defense overall as a whole, obviously I think the most talented part of the team is the linebacking group. Just you got some amazing athletes there. Devin White, Levante David's been around a long time now.
The addition of
Shaquille Barrett, of course. Man,
do you need any more on that linebacking squad?
There's tons of talent in there. And Lonnie, you're Mr. Force Fumble himself, by the way. So you know all about ways to knock the ball loose. And this defense was once again top 5. As a personal note, is there forcing fumbles here? What would you say to a young linebacker?
Young linebacker? Oh man, these guys are hard to live up to. I looked at their 2 inside linebackers. I said it at one point. It would probably be like playing against a team with Derek Brooks and Ray Lewis on in the inside. Just able to cover passes, able to stop the run. These guys are so dynamic in what they do. And so as a young linebacker coming in, the only thing I could actually tell you as a young linebacker, make sure you play well on special teams because you want to hang around to see these guys in action so that you can learn from them throughout the year because I don't think you're going to touch the field, young fella.
Yep, it makes a lot of sense. There's been a lot of great linebackers that kind of had to work their way up. Start off in special teams right away, get noticed that way, and all of a sudden they go, we'll send us starters for what we can do on the field, stuff like that. And here in Kansas City, we had Gary Stills. He was one of those guys that was just a special teamer going down and making stops on kicks. And then all of a sudden we see him playing for him. And it's like, we need to get this guy on the field more. But We see that all the time. That's kind of how you make your name is special teams, and then all of a sudden, just take notice, I think.
Yeah, that's actually how my career went. I did the same thing. I played special teams. Kurt Schottenheimer was, he just paid attention to me and kind of groomed me on special teams, and played with Benny Thompson as well, Dale Carter. And so from there, I got a chance to play on the field because I was doing so good on special teams. And as you said, it's the first thing that the coach will say, you need to get him on the field because he's a ball hawk. He can get around the ball. He can punch the ball out. He's always near the football. And so you get an opportunity to play defense. And that's exactly what happened with me.
Yeah, I think you had, was it 6 forced fumbles? Was that right in one season? I think you led the league in forced fumbles that year.
Yeah. Bill Cowher would always, he would stress, really stress, stripping the ball at practice. And for a time, it got really hard to get the ball out because everybody was covering it. Harvey Williams, Barry Word, Christian Okoye. Marcus Allen was impossible to get the ball from him. And so when you went up against those guys on offense and then you got in the game and you got to play against someone who was a little bit careless with the ball, moved the ball, had air between the ball and their body, it was easy to get it out. So I kind of perfected a punch and strip. So it was good. Work.
There we go. Makes sense. You got more?
Just one quick thing again on the Bucs. They've got one of the toughest schedules in the league this year, and I was wondering if you think, since they've already got the issues on the offensive line, do you think it might be a scenario where the defense kind of has to carry this team to a certain extent?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because if that offensive line can't keep people out of Brady's face, I think you're going to see a different Brady and one that we're not accustomed to. And so playing against teams who know what your weaknesses are, they are going to take advantage of that. And who wouldn't? If you're playing the Bucs early in the season and they're having trouble getting their team together, their offense together, which we know that's a strength for them as well as their defense. But if you can keep Brady on the sideline, that's your best offense you can have. And so I think a lot of teams are going to be chomping at the bit to keep him on the sideline by making sure that offensive line can't protect him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's do prediction time here. Lonnie, we'll start with you. What's the Buccaneers record at the end of the year?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one.
It is.
You're putting pressure on. What's 18? How many games are they playing now? They're still playing the same amount they were playing last year.
I got 17.
I'm about to add another game. Well, I used to say 8-8. Now I got to say like 8-9. I'll go.
I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah. I gotta give them at least 11 wins. At least 11 wins, because I think Tom Brady will come back in and get it settled down. Obviously, the offensive line will gel, so I'm gonna give them at least 11 wins.
All right, JG.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got 11-6 for the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the defense and just the talent they got over there. And so for me, even if the offense struggles at any point, I'm not that concerned about it. I have them also, you got to consider the division they're in. The Falcons are not going to be a great team. The Panthers are not going to be a great team. The Saints, we'll see. But that's part of why I got them winning 12 games. They're going to be, to me, 12-5 at the end of all this because it's great defense and the division's not great either.
Right. I got 11 games as well for a win. Cowboys, I think they lose week 1. But that's just figuring life out. You immediately go to the Saints, you beat the Packers, you beat the Steelers, beat the Panthers. You can pull a win out against the Rams just because Brady likes to do that stuff. So,
that'd be rough. That'd be tough.
yeah, I'd say I like 11 wins this season for them. So, quick here. Any thoughts on the division opponents with the Falcons, the Saints, the Panthers? Anybody that you may be more worried about than some others are concerned about?
Not really. The Saints, I really like the Saints. I like the way the Saints play against the Bucs. The problem with the Saints this year is they do not have a proven quarterback. I know what you would like to think, but they do not have a proven quarterback. And that quarterback is going to have to emerge and going to have to emerge quickly because the Saints have a unproven head coach and the quarterback, and it's going to. It looks like they've gotten released a couple or traded a couple defensive players that I know could be pretty
Garner
for them down the road.
to
Yeah,
the Eagles.
so I don't. You know, I understand you have Tyrann Mathieu and you got a couple new guys at wide receiver back home, but I think they have to work on it. So at least second place. The Panthers and the Falcons. The Falcons are rebuilding, and the Panthers themselves need a quarterback. They need a quarterback that they can count on, and I think Matt Rule is.
You don't think Baker's that guy?
You know what? It's hard. It's hard to say because if he was, you know, it would be clearly evident that they're coming up. They're rising, but I don't think their stock is rising. I think you have to keep. You have to have some healthy runners and take that pressure off the quarterback and let him develop. But I don't see it right now. And the Falcons are a.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Lonnie.
I didn't hear you.
Yes.
No, I think that's a good point you're making about the Panthers there. Tanner is obviously questioning about Baker Mayfield. And, yeah, if it was a clear-cut, obvious choice of Mayfield, then why were they still having the debate between Sam Darnold and Mayfield up until the injury occurred to Sam Darnold recently? You know,
Yeah.
if Baker Mayfield was really the guy and should be the guy, it'd be clear-cut. We'd be in a competition.
I think more of it was a Matt Rule thing of respect towards Sam Darnold for whatever reason. Like, hey, you know, I wanted this guy to do it. Like, I can't just push him aside, you know, to bring Baker in. And Baker was the hottest topic that Carolina didn't want him. Matt Rule didn't want him. Robbie Anderson didn't want him. But, of course, not in that way because they ended up with him. And then they took all their words back. And now, you know, due to an injury, Baker Mayfield's also in the one, you know, of course, starting quarterback. So I just think it was more respecting for Sam Darnold. That's why you didn't hear the Baker Mayfield's guy. When we all knew Baker Mayfield was the guy.
Yeah, we'll see how he does, I guess. See how things go. I think the Saints actually offensively have a high upside just because there is a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. I love the addition of Chris Olave. We'll see if Michael Thomas gets on the field. Even Jarvis Landry, even as he's getting older, he can still at least get involved a little bit here and there. So I'm not going to totally discredit him. And I think that Jameis Winston's one of those kind of guys that you've seen him in the past over 5,000 yards. He's also thrown 30 for 30. And you know what I'm talking about.
And that was before eye surgery. Eye correction surgery.
Right. But last year had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, much more efficient. I think if he can continue on to build off of that, then you have a guy who's a late bloomer.
Yeah. Well, you know what I think about.
You really good, man.
It's weird that I'd call him a late bloomer.
You know what I think about Jameis Winston is when I look at the games, I see the long ball. He does great with the long ball, but I don't see a lot of intermediate throws or the composure taking the short route or going to the next read as quickly or as just confidently. And so that may come along as well, but he's a great long ball thrower, but I don't see anything else other than that. And so until he gets that locked in, I think it's going to be tough for him to throw the ball deep because, you know, if I'm a safety, I'm sitting back waiting. I want you to throw the ball deep, no matter who you have running down running the route. So I think I really just want to see him develop because I have nothing against him. I think he's just a long ball thrower, and that's what I see.
It's been a weird career considering you won Rookie of the Year, and then literally you started going on a decline right after that, and now we're talking about like, okay, could he kind of have a reemergence and get his career turned back around again? Because I think he's got potential for it. I just want to see it happen.
It's almost like a weird upside down Brian Tannehill story.
Yeah, kind of like
it really is. Like he was great in the beginning, and then he declined, and then he went to the Titans. All of a sudden, he became this new quarterback. You know, I don't know. Like it just kind of feels that kind of story there.
It may be. Hopefully, it is.
Speaking of the Falcons, though, Mariota is one of those interesting stories too. Obviously, has had some success with the Titans in the past. Then kind of got bounced around a little bit, spent time with the Raiders and so on. And now here he is starting in Atlanta, and his top target is Kyle Pitts. So, I mean, they're in a whole rebuild, like you said. I don't see them doing anything great. We could give a record prediction on them if you want. Mine ain't very nice.
By the way, he does have a familiar face on that offense that nobody talks about. He's the number one wide receiver, Brian Edwards. Is there familiar face, familiar connection with the Raiders? That's a guy that nobody talks about because Drake London's there now. Kyle Pitts is there. You got to watch out for that. Like, if he already has that connection there, he might be heading that way. So, I'm just saying. It always helps to have a familiar face when you go to a new team.
Well, they're going to be playing from behind a lot because that defense is terrible. I'll put it that way.
No, yeah, it's AJ Terrell, and that's it. That's it.
Oh,
So,
man.
awesome. All right. Well, Lonnie, we're going to give some quick predictions, but we'll let you go. We appreciate you hopping on, talking football with us. Hope to get you on during the season as well and get some of your thoughts. So, appreciate you joining.
Thanks, Lonnie.
Yeah, thank you, man.
guys. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Lonnie. All right, Lonnie Martz Jr., everybody, former NFL player.
Yeah.
Great guy to talk with.
Love
He joined
having
he joined our big fantasy draft during the NFL draft. So we've talked to him once before. Always been a good guy. So
His best story during the draft, I asked him
Yes.
about the Marty Schottenheimer experience, and he brought up how he made them all wear like Superman outfits and different kind of I can't remember, Batman, Superman, all this kind of stuff, and then they had to practice with all that stuff on. It's pretty funny.
that was great. All right, so quick guys here. Let's talk about it. The rest of the division, the Saints and Falcons, Panthers. Kind of just got to talk about Lonnie on it. You have, Jason, I'll start with you here. I like your record prediction for the Saints here. Going first and kind of your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I'm kind of back and forth on the Saints just because it's kind of like Lonnie was saying. We don't really know what to expect for Jameis this year, but big believer in the defense, obviously. It wouldn't shock me if they won the division this year. However, I did have Tampa Bay at 11-6, so I'm going to go 10-7 for the Saints. Yeah, and that's assuming that Jameis stays healthy because he tends to get injured every once in a while.
Yeah, I actually like the Saints quite a bit too, and I thought I saw their over/under somewhere around like 8.5 or something like that in the line. This team had the number one rush defense in the league last year and allowed only 3.7 yards per carry and the least amount of first down percentage allowed on rundowns. So I think that's going to carry over once again. And I also believe in Winston to continue to build off of what he did last year in playing more efficient football. I have the Saints at 10-7 as well. And I think it's going to be an interesting team to watch, and offensively should actually be pretty fun to watch.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I got the Saints at 9 wins this season. And that's just due to the fact that they got some young guys coming to play on the offensive side. Jameis is coming out of his injury. But also, I do look at this defense to have, I guess, I don't know, maybe be better in a way. Demario Davis added from the Jets for the middle linebacker. Marcus May coming in the situation due to Tyrann Mathieu is a huge deal coming from the Jets because Marcus May is he needs a guy that's put him in shape. And Tyrann Mathieu, we all know, is a guy that would do that for a player. So having that leadership, the veteran leadership there for Marcus is huge. But I am looking at 9 wins, and I'll explain that later. So, all right, let's just hit it down. Falcons, what are your thoughts, JG?
Ooh, Falcons, that could get ugly.
I know.
Marcus Mariota, he's, I guess, just kind of a bridge quarterback until they can get a new one in the draft next year. I'm going to go 4-13 for the Falcons. They're going to suck.
Yeah, the defense is going to be pretty terrible. The offense has a couple playmakers along the way. It'll be a developmental year for a guy like Drake London. And then seeing what they have and some of their other young guys like Tyler Algier, the running back that they drafted from BYU, I believe. And then seeing if they can squeeze anything else out of Cordarrelle Patterson. But I do have them finishing 5-12 on the year. So it's going to be rough, but they know it's going to be rough.
I have you know what? I have them like 2 wins.
2?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think November 20th, when they play the Bears, whoever loses that gets number 1 pick.
So they're going to go into tank
man.
mode.
I think it's just going to be bad. I really do. They got, look, you look at their opponents real quick. The Saints, they won't win. The Rams, they won't win. The Seahawks, they have a chance, but the Seahawks are still better than the Falcons, I still believe. Browns, they won't win. Bucs, Bengals, Niners, Panthers, Chargers. The Bears are the only team. Commanders, if Carson Wentz isn't playing well. The Ravens, the Bucs, the Cardinals. Like, I don't see how you can get more than maybe 3 wins sneaked out of that, maybe with the Seahawks, but I'm going 2 wins.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I could see the 4-13 record Jason picked right there. I guess I'm just giving Mariota the benefit of the doubt, but not being completely terrible.
Than what I believe. That's for sure. I mean, they still got Jake Matthews there, which we all know is a great guy. Kyle Pitts, but it's Cordell Patterson. I don't know if he's going to be the same. Damian Williams, Tyler Jerry. I don't know. I don't see anything there outside of AJ Terrell on the defense. Casey Hayward, maybe if he has some kind of resurgence, but that's very iffy. Grady Jarrett, I guess, is another guy, but there's nothing there that tells me. Even Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State is still sitting in the second spot. Troy Anderson, no, there's nothing there. So give me 2 wins for the Falcons.
All right, Tanner.
All right, let's go Panthers.
Panthers, what do you got, Jason?
Ooh, Panthers. Gosh, those quarterbacks they're just okay to me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of either one of those guys. I think Baker is a guy who is a serviceable quarterback. However, in the first year on a brand new team, I don't have a lot of faith in him. Either them or probably the Falcons. One of those 2 teams should have gone after Jimmy Garoppolo. But I'm going to go with 7-10 for Carolina.
7-10, interesting. Yeah, just one of those teams that I think they get looked over, but it's probably for good reason in a lot of ways. I don't really believe in Baker Mayfield. I don't think that he's going to be a guy that can corral himself enough to deal with some of the controversy. He's going to come with playing with a bad team. Because, I mean, obviously he's got Christian McCaffrey, but you're not going to be as run-based as you were with the Browns, having Nick Chubb and obviously a Kareem Hunt there as well. I think he's going to be a turnover machine, personally. Okay. So I have the Panthers at 6-11.
All right, I got the Panthers at 9 wins, tying with the Saints. I got them losing to the Saints once. I got them losing to the Cards, the Rams, probably the Ravens, that's beating them. So, yeah, and then the Bucs. I think Bucs twice they get beat by them. So, I definitely have the Panthers at 9 wins. I think they can do it. They got some easy games at the end. They got the Lions, the Seahawks, the Giants, Browns to begin with the season, payback mode. So, I don't mind the Baker Mayfield. I think it's a big upgrade. I think he's going to maybe take that next step, like everybody thought he would in Cleveland. So, I'm going 9 wins for the.
That was probably the team that
Panthers.
we probably disagreed with the most on, I would say, on that one.
Yeah, I would say so. So, hanging on here, we got Charles here. Charles McClain, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Mariota's old OC is also the head coach in Atlanta. Mariota's offense. Well, that's what I was saying with Brian Edwards, too. He has Bucs 12-5, Saints 11-6, Panthers 9-8, Falcons 7-10 going to play. So that's what he has there.
Especially when you ran down the list of teams that the Falcons are playing, I don't think there's 7 wins. There's just no way.
I'm telling you right now, I'm going 2 easily.
I'm not going as low as 2, obviously, but 7 wins I don't think is possible for them. There's too many other better teams in the league.
So awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's our NFC South wrap up there. Obviously, we got the Bucs winning. Most of us had the Saints with at least 10 wins. I have them with 9. And then I have the Panthers tying with them. The 2 times have Panthers third, but less. And then we all have the Falcons last.
Correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to a little tougher division to predict. Just a little bit. Not as much as it's been in the past year. We're going to bring in REDBIRD, REDZONE, talk about the NFC West a little bit and those Arizona Cardinals.
Just me tonight, I'm afraid.
Will, welcome in, dude.
How you doing?
Hey, it's all right. We appreciate you joining.
No problem, no problem. How's
We're
my
good.
mic? Am I mic good? Cool.
And then Facebook user, yep, mic's good. So, Facebook user says that baby girl. Yep, that's her behind. My daughter is yelling in the background. It is all right.
She's getting talkative these days.
That's what happens when we have to do stuff downstairs. So.
I want to open by saying you guys are entirely wrong.
Yeah.
I want to open by saying you guys are entirely wrong about the Panthers. That is a 5-win team right there.
Hey, I had 6 wins for the Panthers.
Well, I had 7, of which I thought I was being, a little too optimistic. But
I think
This
Tanner's
is a
overly
9-win
optimistic.
team.
There is no path.
When
There
we
is
visit
no
this
path,
next
and I
year,
am freaking
I guarantee you.
Baker Mayfield's not that good to make them a 9-win team.
You're gonna see what happens.
That's what.
Yeah.
He's gonna use the
Baker
10-2
Mayfield is a
you
fine
want a
quarterback,
playoff
but that
game.
doesn't
You
change
want a
the
playoff.
fact that their coach is one of the worst coaches I've ever seen.
Look, he has another year, chance to do what he does. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I still think that they're talented enough to take 9 wins. So, just based off their schedule.
I get you.
So, but hey, let's talk some NFC West here.
Sounds good.
When we look at the Cardinals here this year, man, you got lots of different additions coming into play. What are we seeing here?
I'm gonna open up with a statement here that you guys are gonna disagree with. This Cardinals offense, especially this receiver room, is the most slept-on team in the goddamn NFL. Their receiver room alone right now rivals 2008. I mean, you've got DeAndre Hopkins when he comes back from suspension. You got Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore before his season was cut short for whatever reason last year, was lighting it up. I mean, those 3 alone are going to be great. Ertz, if he continues his trajectory from last year, he's going to look really good. McBride, if he lives up to his potential. I mean, I'm taking the I'm taking the good shit right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm hoping for the best, but I think this team is really slept on.
No, I get it. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to end up happening. Obviously, with the departure of Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore is supposed to be taking over that role there, which I think that should work out fine. Obviously, he's undersized, but we're not overly worried about that. He runs a 4.29, so the guy's got some talent. But Marquise Brown and him are kind of similar in that nature, I guess. A little undersized, but fast as hell. So, I'm guessing you're also thinking about AJ Green when you're talking about slept on. Are we still expecting to see AJ Green do kind of what he did last year, or?
I mean, I don't know.
What are your thoughts on his kind of career?
Our receiver room's so stacked this year that I don't know if we'll need him to produce in the way we needed him to last year. I have a lot of faith in this team's receiver room. I think that Rondale Moore, if you are a fantasy owner, that is a guy you pick up on the waiver wire while you still can, because he will light it up.
So yeah, I drafted him for sure on Sunday night. So he's definitely a part of my team at the moment. He's got a little injury going on. They said they're not sure if he's going to play week 1, so that remains to be seen, obviously. But obviously, with the 6-week suspension of DeAndre Hopkins, does it become a concern towards the beginning part of the season of getting all these guys ready and start right away coming out and being hot, or is this going to be more like a mid-season, the late type of a chemistry going on?
I think this is going to be a season where we kick in late, because the opening slate of games for those first 6 weeks of D-Hop is pretty brutal. I've seen people say we lose our first 3 games. I don't think we lose our first 3, but I think we start 1 and 2 and get better down the stretch. I think we lose week 1 for sure, but I have a lot of hope in this team. I know those sentences entirely contradict each other.
So if you're well, I was just kind of thinking, you mentioned you think this is the best receiving group they've had since 08. So who's your Fitz and who's your Bolden then on this team?
I mean, I'd say that DeAndre Hopkins, right there, that's your Fitz. As for your Bolden, I think that that could be Brown, that could be Ertz. This team's receiving room is just stacked. I've never seen it look this good, and even in our best year, 2015, our receiver room was not stacked. That was a defensive juggernaut more so than an offensive juggernaut.
I did like Trey McBride quite a bit. I thought that was a great pick for them, especially for the future. Obviously, Ertz now, how old is he now? 30, is he 33, 34, somewhere around there?
Ertz, I can tell you. Hang on a second.
He's
I'm pretty
33.
sure he's 33. But...
I'm trying to remember in my head how 31.
31, yeah.
Actually younger than I thought he was going to be. There we go. Okay, so he's still got probably a couple of really decent years left in him then, along with obviously having Trey McBride in the group. So obviously you think highly of the receiving group. Makes a lot of sense. As far as running game goes, anything change in your mind from last year? You got the addition of Darrell Williams. I don't know that you're going to want to use him. I think your main man is probably still James Conner.
Yeah, I mean, James Conner, no question, he's going to get the most usage. I think that Benjamin getting a bigger role on this team is going to really help them. I think that in the limited action we saw him in last year, I think he looked really solid, and I'm surprised that it was such a question as to whether or not he would make the team, because I think that him being on this team really helps this team. But I mean,
That's fair.
Yeah.
What about Benjamin? What's his role?
I mean, I think he's going to be a third down guy or just a rotation back. I think Connor's going to get the main carries. He's going to get the goal line carries for sure. But Benjamin's going to be a change of pace back.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I kind of figured Darrell Williams would end up being a little bit of your change of pace, who I don't know if you've noticed in preseason actually has pretty solid hands on the group right there. He was targeted the most for the Chiefs this past season, which is kind of weird considering the Chiefs have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Somehow they throw to Darrell Williams more often than him.
Clyde's hurt, so.
Well, Clyde's always hurt, I guess, so that makes a lot of sense, So obviously we're thinking offensively everything's going to be fine. We talked a few weeks ago about Kyler Murray and some of the things they put in place into his contract. Now, I don't believe he took any snaps in the preseason, right?
That's correct, yeah.
How do you took the first game?
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember he actually was calling plays during some of the
Yeah, during one of those games, he was actually doing a better job calling plays than Cliff. Cliff had scored 3 points, and Kyler engineered a comeback. And that's kind of the issue right now.
that's good stuff right there.
That's still our guy at the top.
I think it's a smart move, I think, in a lot of ways to get him used to seeing it from a coach's standpoint, calling plays and watching it unfold on the field from like a third-person point of view almost. Just because he's used to being the one to receive in the call and then go out there and run plays. So it probably helped some of his development in understanding some of the game planning, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree, yeah. I think he's going to have himself a great year this year. I know a lot of people keep pointing to that like Call of Duty stat, like, oh, Kyler Murray gets worse whenever a new Call of Duty's out. But that's also the time that Cliff's teams as a whole just collapse anyway. So, I mean, who's to say?
Yeah. All right, so what are you thinking so far about the defense at the moment? I mean, still tons of talent over there. J.J. Watt's probably always injured, but, maybe we'll get a healthy year out of him.
Defense is a big question mark. I think that the D-line is really kind of suspect. Aside from J.J. Watt, your guys, going up against the O-line, it's looking pretty shaky. I played Madden. I played Madden on the free trial, and I was looking at the D line because I'd forgotten if we even had any like real holdovers. And it's like, oh yeah, the best guy I can recognize is Lecky Fotu, and you don't ever want the best guy you can recognize to be Lecky Fotu. But yeah, D line's a big question mark. Secondary, I think, could be rough. I'm not entirely sure. They brought in 2 guys over the course of the last 2 days, and I'm not entirely sure on them. But the defense is a huge question mark. I think we're going to be looking at some Texas Tech kind of shit in terms of how this team is.
That would surprise me quite a bit, actually. I still think that there's some talented guys. I don't think you've gotten the best out of Isaiah Simmons yet, even. And obviously, you got your veteran Marcus Golden there, Xavier Collins. I mean, there's good talent still on this roster.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think our safety group right now is outstanding. I think the Thompson twins are highly underrated, and I think Budda Baker is one of, if not the best safety in the league. So, I mean, it's the safeties look really promising.
And, hey, you got Vance Joseph over there.
Yeah, and there's a reason I'm not so hyped on the defense. I
guess it can't be as bad as Bob Sutton was at one point for the Chiefs. So as long as they play aggressive in some kind of way and don't just play as prevent defense, then I'll give you guys a chance to figure it out somehow.
Yeah, I'm praying for the best. I'm the resident pessimist on my podcast, but I never like being against my team. It always pains me.
Well, okay. So the overview. It sounds like you're obviously very optimistic and positive on the receiving group, and obviously Kyler Murray too. But so there's obviously other major holes within the team that you're concerned about. Obviously, you got the Chiefs week 1. That's going to be a huge test right out the gate. Plus, you're going to be without Hopkins and then possibly even an injured Rondale Moore. Thinking about it that way, it's like, so what kind of opportunities do you think this team could make to somehow get a win over a team like the Chiefs?
I mean, I'm not going to answer that question because I think we're going to lose that game.
Well, you got to answer at some point, right? We're going to have you on eventually.
The line is only 4.5 right now in favor of the Chiefs, so there's a window there.
There is a path. Just bring back the bouncy gate.
I mean, there's no guarantee that
There is a
Chiefs receiving group is going to be as good without Tyreek Hill. So I mean, that's kind of a question mark, I think. But I mean, our defense is a big question mark itself. So I don't know. Too close to call.
Right. If it turns out they are the Texas Tech defense, then I'll gladly watch that unfold week 1. So I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Just don't start the
Jason, you got anything?
Yeah, right quick. Yeah, right quick before we get to the prediction here. I'll give you a quick over-under for Kyler Murray. So last year, 423 rushing yards and 5 rush touchdowns. You going over that number or under this year?
Kyler Murray's always said that he uses running as a tool and not as like a primary. He is a running quarterback who does not like to run. I'm going to say under because he's got more weapons this year to work with, and I don't think he'll need to be on the run as much. But, I mean, with this team, anything goes.
I don't really have nothing else. You kind of covered it all between receiving and everything. I just think that Kyler Murray's probably going to have a lot of receiving yards just because they do got a guy like Darrell Williams in the secondary or the running back group with James Conner. So I'm liking it a lot here. Let's go ahead and go prediction time. What's the record going to be for the Arizona Cardinals coming into the year?
I think I said 10-7 on my podcast. I'm gonna go back on that and I'm gonna say 9-8.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think we lost connection-wise. What do you got, JG?
Yeah, I'm right there with them. I have 9-8 as well.
I have them actually. So last year they started out. I think he's back on now.
I'm sorry about that. Did not mean for that to happen.
All right,
You're good.
You're back, Will.
You're good. So JG just picked. He has 9-8.
Both of you guys got 9-8. So last year, obviously, the Cardinals started off hot in the beginning. I think they went 7-1 was the first 8 games, and then really tapered off towards the end of the season. I see this being a little bit of the opposite this year, where I think they're going to start off a little tough, but I think towards the back end of the season they could get hot. I do have them going 10-7 on the season.
I echo that. 10-7 for me as well. For the Cardinals.
Yeah, the front half of this
I think
schedule
we're all pretty
looks
close to that 9-10 mark.
the front half of this schedule looks tough to me, but I mean, as a whole, it's a very winnable schedule.
Our guy Charles McClain on there, by the way, has them at 10. So it looks like we're all pretty much in the same grouping as far as between 9 and 10 wins for the Cardinals.
I think it all comes down to the secondary. I think if the secondary can show out and they can seize the day, I think this team is going to be pretty damn good. But as it stands right now, it's such a big question mark that I can't really say anything other than like a low wild card.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. I mean, it's a tough one for the NFC. There's only about 5 teams competing anyway. So it sure seems like so. Awesome, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you hopping on. I'll get in contact with you again here. Get you on before week 1 here starts. Make sure we get some REDBIRD Red Zone sports Buffoons action going to play as we break down maybe the Cardinals Chiefs game.
That'd be nice.
Sounds good.
Cool, awesome. Well, thanks, Will, for joining here, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Thanks, Will.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. That was Will with REDBIRD Red Zone, guys. Go check them out here. They ramped up content, going to play. Jackie's with them, and Mac as well. So
I gotta say, Tanner. So we've had 2 guests on tonight, obviously, and both of them are probably the most honest about their team. Just about any of the fans we've had on, obviously, to cover these teams, because most fans get on here and they're very optimistic about what's going to happen. Almost all of them have picked over 500 for their team, it seems like. And then we get Lonnie on there, and he actually picks them to win 11, which is 1 game less than what I have the Bucs. And then our guy over here has 9 and 8 for the Cardinals. I mean,
right?
It's just, hey, I gotta appreciate people coming out and maybe understanding a little more of a level ground of, hey, let's not be so high or not be so low. Let's find a happy medium of what our prediction should be.
Not everybody has a Super Bowl realism, you know. It's not going to be a title or nothing here. You know, you can't do that for every team.
Right.
So, but hey, guys, let's break down. Let's finish out the NFC West here. JG, we'll start with you. Let's start with the Seattle Seahawks here. What are your thoughts here on the Seahawks, and what's your record prediction?
Well, my thoughts on the Seahawks are Geno Smith and Drew Lock. I'm going 4-13.
I see. We'll see. That's the thing. So you mentioned the 2 things that are going to be a problem. Obviously, the Seahawks have not been as good the last few years anyway, and that's with Russell Wilson's inconsistency coming into play and some in-house things that have taken over time. We've talked, obviously, with your brother at one point, Tanner, and Connor seemed to have some belief or knowledge that there were some in-house things that were going on between Wilson and between Pete Carroll, maybe not getting along. Obviously, that might be part of why they decided to part ways from each other. But I don't think that Drew Lock is the answer long-term, and we know Geno Smith's not the answer long-term. Is there a way that they can maybe sneak out a few wins because of a play here and there from DK Metcalf? Probably. I mean, I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league by any means. But, that defense is also going to have problems on the back end and the second. That's something that we've seen over time, ever since the Legion of Boom has dwindled away, as they've just obviously never come back to being the same. I have them at 6-11 on this season.
Very similar on that one. I got 5-12 on this one.
Okay.
So there's some games they'll win, some games they lose. They don't have I wouldn't say very tough schedule by any means, but they also got Geno Smith starting week 1, and who knows how long that's going to last until Drew Lock gets in. It's not going to get any better. So
it's going to be a battle of who turns the ball over the least,
yeah,
and that's who's going to keep the job, basically.
that in the end, it's what it is.
So that's the way I see things going.
Yeah, I mean they got some promises to watch, of course, for Ricky. Charles Cross, left tackle, Abram Lucas, right tackle. Hopefully he gets some playing time this year off that bad team. Kenneth Walker, the third. That we're uncertain to see what's going on with him. And then on the back end, starting cornerback and starting cornerback out there, Ricky Lewis. And of course, the guy you kind of wanted at one point, William Mate of USC, got to the second offensive linebacker there. So they have some young guys at least to look at, but it's not going to be a pretty season. I wouldn't go as far as the Falcons, but I'm going at least 5 wins. So, all right, let's start with this next team here. Let's go the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl defending champs.
I mean, what is there not to like? I think they're going to be right there again in the playoffs at the end of the year. Not sure how far they're going to go, but I love the roster, and I'm going to go 12-5.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, once again, if you look at the NFC, which is clearly weaker than the AFC, there's the 2 teams that stand out the most still are the Buccaneers and Rams right now. I don't think the Packers are going to be, nearly as capable as they have in the past with the loss of Devontae Adams. So when I look at the rest of the NFC, I'm like, man, there's just a lot of average teams, and then you got a couple that really stand out, and the Rams are one of them. And I see no reason why they can't get back to the Super Bowl again, especially with you added in Allen Robinson to the roster now. I'm not sure what's going on with Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously, he's not with the team. I don't know who's going to pick him up or sign him at any moment. remains to be seen. But he played great in the playoffs. If they can pull Allen Robinson's talent that he's had throughout his career with Jacksonville and with the Bears, now put him with a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, then you could really get the most out of that guy before he gets too old. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds because Cooper Kupp, I don't think could catch every pass thrown his way. So, I have them. You guys might think this is a little too low. I have them at 11-6 on the season, but that doesn't mean I don't have them as Super Bowl favorites. So I'll put it that way.
That's fair. I got the Rams at 10 wins in this one here. I like the addition of Alshon Robinson come from Detroit to the Rams on the defensive line there. I think that's just a great kind of reload weapon going to play. But yeah, I think it comes down to kind of the running game. What happens with Akers and Henderson? See what Kyron Williams comes into play once he's fully out there and gets his opportunity. I think he could be a guy Rams like him too. But yeah, what happens with Odell? I think it comes in the end. If he comes back, when it's time to play midway through the season to the Rams, that's a whole fresh option right there for you. So, and I like their schedule. Definitely need to at least 10 wins in this one. So, splitting the Cardinals, of course, and they might even beat the Bills week 1. So we'll see. But yeah, 10 wins for the Rams.
All right, Charles, by the way, made a comment about the elbow situation. There's a tendonitis going on with Stafford. I'm going to be curious. In my opinion, with Stafford's elbow situation, I'm ready to see it before I make any judgments about what he's capable of or not. It might keep him from throwing the long ball this year, but that remains to be seen.
I don't think it does. He was already throwing over 100 yards with the Thursday Night Football ball, so there's
Stafford was?
Yeah, Stafford was from his own end zone all the way across.
So you're telling me there's more footage of that stupid ball out there?
Yes.
Oh my! I gotta see this. I gotta start YouTubing all of these Thursday Night Football balls of Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson.
We have time here. If we finish here shortly, I'll show you the Stafford throw.
Yeah, no, I believe you can throw it 100 yards because it's designed like it's a damn arrow or something.
But yeah, I don't have any concern about this. You're right. It's gonna be sore, sure. It's gonna be effect, but I don't think it's anything to.
But Charles here did admit he wants to see the Rams struggle.
He did say that.
He's coming out with a little hate right there. So I'm just gonna say Stafford is in a better place. No offense, Charles.
We appreciate it, Charles. All right, let's talk about this final team. That's kind of I would consider them a really weird team. They just got stashed away pretty much Jimmy Garoppolo, their second string quarterback for the young guy Trey Lance with the rework contract. What are your thoughts here, San Francisco? What are we thinking?
I'm going to take some of those $400 in free bets that you guys told me. I'm going to bet them as a dark horse to win the Super Bowl this year. Now, record-wise, go 11-6. I think Trey Lance is going to be good enough to keep them afloat, but I could also see a scenario where he doesn't really meet their expectations early on, and possibly even go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. And once you do that, well, then you've already got a guy with Super Bowl experience. And so I don't think they're going to win the division, but they are my dark horse at 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. I think that's a good, kind of a long shot, if you will.
I just want to say one thing about Trey Lance and their situation there is that whenever you have a young, inexperienced quarterback, the number one thing that always ends up coming back into form with these kind of players is inconsistency. And obviously, there's anomalies out there. There's the guys as though the Patrick Mahomes of the world that occasionally come out right out the gates and blow up. But Trey Lance has not played very much football in his life, and even in college, only threw a couple hundred pass attempts. Obviously, we saw him a little bit last year. He threw 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, under 60% completion percentage. We expect him to be dynamic in the run game as well. But I don't think they're going to be consistent enough for them to be a Super Bowl type of contender. This isn't like plug in Kaepernick and all of a sudden he's going to blow up the world for a year. I just don't see it that way. But I do think this is going to be a good team because they're going to run the ball extremely well, like they always do. And I believe in Eli Mitchell. I think they still have a good enough defense to get the job done. I have them as a playoff team for sure, and I have them at 9-8 on the season.
I did know that 9-8. I almost have them at 10 wins just because they have one extra game I like versus Arizona didn't have. That was the Commanders game. I almost put them at 10. But I think they lose a dumb game somewhere in the play, so I'm going to go 9-8 as well. Coming into play. And then Charles here says Jimmy G will be starting by week 6.
And that's assuming if that's the case, that means Trey Lance is turning the ball over a lot.
Yeah, and this was his comment earlier. Everyone knows that Niners week 1 against the Bears, but see Jimmy G taking it by week 6. So
here's the thing. I don't know if you can do that, because if you go into the season saying Trey Lance, this is your team, and you give him all the power and confidence in the world of, hey, these guys believe in me, and this is my first year starting in the NFL, and then you're going to go out and turn the ball over a few times, because you will, because you're a young quarterback without experience, and then you get yanked, that's going to demoralize you as a young quarterback. And I think that would be probably one of the worst things to see, because then Jimmy G's going to get in there, and he's going to play safe, and he's not going to turn the ball over because he knows what's going to get him benched back in return. So then you're going to sit there going, wow, I guess I need to not be taking chances anymore. He's going to become a shell of himself. I can see what Charles is saying unfold, but I hope it doesn't for the sake of Trey Lance's young career.
No, that's fair. So I think Trey Lance plays the whole year, whether the pending injury, of course, but I think Trey Lance is the guy essentially most of the year. So, but yeah, that wraps up our NFC West division, guys. All we got left is AFC West, and that'll be next Wednesday as we get ready to break down Week 1 of the NFL season, as well, on top of a quick AFC West prediction. So
I'm excited for that, Tanner, because we obviously have a lot of Chiefs fans that follow us here, and tons of Chiefs friends obviously in town here.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk Chiefs. We'll talk a little bit maybe of some of our key games from Week 1, 2. I'm not going to say it's fully going to be Chiefs or anything, but we'll definitely talk Chiefs for sure in the play. But make sure you guys check out, too, our Chiefs channel, Settling the Kingdom. Go subscribe, go follow. Dedicated, exclusive Chiefs Kingdom content, essentially, from the sports events.
Yeah, so like last year, whenever we thought the sky was falling and the Chiefs weren't going to win a game ever again, this year I'll be the one to either get on there and settle everyone down, or maybe I'll just join in with you and start crying. So we'll see how I'm feeling that day, I guess.
Start viewing Chiefs Twitter.
Yeah, I'll get on. That's what I'll be doing, Tanner. Every single week, I should just go through Chiefs Twitter, and I will make a YouTube.
Call them out.
I will make a YouTube video just scrolling Chiefs Twitter and reading all the stupidity that goes on there.
The toxicity
before and after games.
Of Chiefs Twitter coming into play.
During games, after games. I will screenshot every one of you and put you on blast out there. So be prepared for that, Chiefs Twitter. You guys are ridiculous.
Oh, man. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun Chiefs season. So, any final thoughts, guys?
Hey, I had fun, obviously, speaking with Lonnie and Will. Always great to have both those guys on. Looking forward to talking with Will again before the Chiefs Week 1 game against the Cardinals. And yeah, speaking of that, Kansas sports betting tomorrow, guys. The line is 4.5 right now for the Chiefs. I'm about to hammer the Chiefs to cover that right now, because if they don't have Rondale Moore and of course not DeAndre Hopkins, the Chiefs can go out there and just destroy it. There's a possibility of that.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Keep an eye on Let's Talk Sports, guys. Go check them out. Of course, always great stuff. Stay tuned here. We got a lot more content coming to the sports Buffoons as well. It's just starting, guys. We got lots more coming to play. So, everybody, have a fabulous week, and we'll catch you next time.